All right, let's dive into one of Saul Bellow's most powerful short stories, Looking for Mr. Green. It's this incredible journey into the heart of Depression-era Chicago that, it starts with a really simple task, but it ends up questioning the very nature of reality itself.
So the whole thing kicks off with this simple, almost ridiculous question. In a time when everyone is struggling, how hard could it possibly be to find a man and just give him free money from the government? Well, as we're about to see, the answer is way more complicated than you'd think.
So, first up, let's meet our guy, George Grebe. His mission seems totally straightforward, but in the world he's walking into, nothing is what it seems.
Okay, so Grebe's job is to deliver these relief checks to people who are too sick or old to go get them. He's basically a lifeline. But finding this one guy, Tulliver Green, in this massive, anonymous city, well, it becomes a total obsession.
And you have to understand, Grebe himself is just a walking contradiction. I mean, look at this. The guy's a highly educated academic. He studied classical languages, for crying out loud. And now here he is, trekking through the city's roughest neighborhoods, getting suspicious looks at every turn. It's a complete clash of worlds.
His boss, this cynical guy named Rayner, he just lays it out for him. He basically tells Grebe his fancy education is worthless in what he calls the fallen world of appearances, a world where it's all about gritty survival. And boom, right there, that's the central conflict of the story. Idealism just crashing head-on into harsh reality.
And let me tell you, that reality hits Grebe like a ton of bricks. His mission immediately runs into a wall. Not a wall of brick and mortar, but a wall of people. The whole city just feels like it's against him.
And that warning from his boss? It comes true fast. Grebe steps into this world just steeped in distrust. He's literally trying to give money away, but nobody wants to talk to him. They just see a stranger, a white guy in a black neighborhood, and they immediately think the worst.
The very first person he asks, the janitor, is absolutely no help, and his answer just perfectly captures the anonymity of this world. People come and go, rooms turn over every day. I mean, in a place like that, how can anyone ever really be known?
Then the local grocer makes it even worse. He tells Grebe that identities here are, well, they're fluid. Names change. The real life of the neighborhood is hidden, almost impossible to get to. It's a world where nothing is solid, nothing is fixed.
So this wall of silence he's hitting, it's built out of a lot of different things. Grebe is an outsider in every possible way. And in a community that's learned it has to protect itself with secrecy, he doesn't look like a helping hand. He looks like a threat.
And this is where the story gets really interesting. Because Grebe's physical search for a person starts to turn into something much deeper, an internal search for what's actually real.
You know those checks he's carrying around? They start to mean something more. They aren't just pieces of paper worth some money. They represent an entire system, and a pretty cold, impersonal one at that. Bellow uses this amazing image. He says the holes punched in the checks are like the holes in paper for a player piano. Think about that. It's this perfect symbol for a cold, automated system that just processes people like numbers on a spreadsheet, totally disconnected from their messy real lives.
But then Grebe meets another guy, Mr. Field, who has a totally different take. For him, money isn't some abstract concept. Money is everything. He calls it sunbeams. It's the only real thing that brings light and power and dignity into a dark world.
So this contrast really gets Grebe thinking. He's looking around at the city, at these crazy elevated train tracks, and he has this realization. This stuff only exists, it only works, because we all agree it does. So much of what we call reality is just a story we all agree to believe in.
So you've got these two clashing views of reality. On the one hand, you've got his boss, Rayner's cynical world, where only cold, hard cash is real. But Grebe, he's looking for something more, something that's real whether we agree it is or not. And for him, finding Mr. Green becomes the ultimate test of that deeper reality.
So now it's not just a job anymore, it's a philosophical mission. Grebe refuses to give up. He has to deliver this last check. He has to prove that a real Mr. Green is out there.
And then, finally, a breakthrough. After hours of dead ends, of getting shut down, out in the cold and the dark, he spots it. A mailbox, and on it, the name he's been looking for all day. Green. You can just feel the relief, the victory.
He rings the bell, and he hears it, a click. The door opens to this long, dark staircase, and then he hears footsteps. Someone is coming down, slowly, kind of stumbling. This is it. This is the moment he's been fighting for all day.
But who he finds is not the sick old man he was picturing. Not at all. It's a woman, heavy, furious, completely naked, and drunk. The gap between what he expected and this raw, chaotic, very real moment is just staggering. It's absurd and uncomfortable and totally shocking.
So, what on earth just happened? He found Green, right? But obviously not the Mr. Green he was looking for. This is the paradox that gets us to the true meaning of his whole quest.
And what's wild is his reaction. At first, he feels this burning self-ridicule, like, what a fool he's been. But then that feeling turns into something else, something totally bizarre, elation, pure joy. How is that even possible? Here's why. The quest was never really about finding one specific man. It was about breaking through that fallen world of appearances, getting past all the suspicion and the lies. This raw, shocking, uncomfortable encounter, it was real. It was more real than anything else he'd experienced all day. She stood in for Green. So in reaching her, he finally connected with a fundamental, undeniable piece of humanity. In the end, he did get to him.
And that leaves us with this final, really powerful idea to chew on. The story makes you wonder, maybe we put way too much focus on the prize at the finish line. What if the real meaning, the real point of it all, isn't found in reaching the goal, but in the tough, messy, sometimes absurd struggle to connect with something true along the way?